how's it going, guys? Alright, so today we get to start some of the finishing stuff on the house, which is always exciting. So the electrical stuff, the plugs, the switches, and the lights. So when I was in Lowe's getting the plugs and the switches, I got a phone call from them saying that the flooring was in, which was convenient since I was already in the store. So we got all the flooring in. I've got all the LED lights as well, underlayment. So we're gonna get this all loaded up into the house. Then I'll start working on getting the plugs and the switches and the lights up, and I'll explain how I'm doing that. And yeah, this is so cool. Like, the paint looks really nice since it's dried. It's not shiny. We did not want shiny paint at all. But yeah, it's looking real sweet. Alright, so we're gonna start with some of the finishing today. So I'm gonna start with the pot light trims. Something that I should have gone over when I was actually installing the housing for the pot lights, or they're also referred to as can lights, is that there's two main different styles. There's one that's called IC housing, and the other one's called non-IC housing. So the IC housing pot lights are designed to go in spaces where the actual pot lights themselves are completely surrounded by insulation. And then the ones that are rated non-IC housing, like the ones in the lofts, those are rated in a way that they're not supposed to be surrounded by insulation. And the simple reason for that is the non-IC pot lights, they could be a potential fire hazard. So that's why you want to make sure that you use the proper ones in the spaces that are insulated, and in the spaces that aren't insulated, then you can use the non-IC housing. There is a bit of a price difference between the two. I think the ones for the non-IC housing were about $5 cheaper than the ones that are designed to go in the insulated spaces. And the other main variable with pot lights and can lights is typically just the size. So we have 4-inch pot lights in here. 5 inches are the pretty freaking big ones, and the 3-inch ones are pretty small, so we went with a bit of a happy medium at 4 inches. And we're gonna be installing all these LED pot light trims. So when you're doing finishing work like this, like, you can look at this pot light, like how nice and white and beautiful it is. First thing that you want to do is you want to wash your hands so that there's like no dirt or grime on there. Because with the way that you're going to be installing these, you're going to be grabbing onto this trim, and if you have like dirt all over your fingers, you're going to leave dirty fingerprints all over them. So the first thing that you want to do when you're installing stuff like this, wash your hands. So this stuff is, it's pretty easy to install. First thing that you want to do is screw this into the socket. Oh yeah, also make sure that the power's off on whatever you're working. And then all you have to do is just connect these two, and then just push this pot light up into up in there. And that's it. So finishing the lights off is literally that easy. And these look really, really nice. So all the pot light trims are installed except for one. 2 of the metal brackets on it were broken, so I'll have to go get a replacement for it. But what I'm going to show you guys today with the electrical finishing is I'm going to show you how to do a standard receptacle, how to install one of those, and then also a standard switch. If you want to learn how to do like a 3-way switch, there's probably a ton of resources on the internet about how to actually wire a 3-way and where to put the wires on the switch. I just don't want to get like too in depth with how to do 3-ways, but we'll do a standard receptacle, standard switch, and alright, so let's look at a standard receptacle box here. You're typically going to have 1 ground wire, 2 neutral wires, which are the white ones, and then you'll have 2 blacks, which are the hots. So this is a standard 15 amp receptacle that we're going to be installing. So right here is the green screw, or the ground screw. Below it right here you can see the 2 neutral screws. Flip it over. On the other side you have the 2 hot screws right here, which are colored. See, these ones are not colored, these ones are colored, so these ones are the hot side. So from here it's pretty simple to install. So you notice at the end of the wires here, like I put like a curl in the wire using my strippers. So you can use these little holes in the strippers to put these little loops in at the end of the wire here. And you want to get that underneath the screw. And then you also want it so that as you're tightening the screw down, you're pulling this part of the wire into the receptacle, as opposed to having this long side on the other side. And then as you tighten it down, it actually pulls this part kind of away from it. I don't know if that's making any sense, but once you start to do this, you'll probably kind of understand what I'm saying. So we just want to go around, put down the two neutrals. It's also good to do this in the proper order. It's not really necessary to do it when everything is dead on the circuit, so the wires aren't hot or anything. But we always just do the ground first, the neutral, and then we do the hots last. So let me just get the other neutral. So as I'm tightening this down, the wire is being tightened into the receptacle. So now that I got this side done, flip the receptacle over and then put the hots on. And if you're fancy like some electricians, instead of actually having a screwdriver, they'll have like a small cordless drill, and then it just kind of goes by a little bit quicker, but not necessary. Next thing you want to do is you want to take any connections and just kind of like push them all the way into the back of the box. Then we want to get the receptacle in place here and then start screwing it in. And again, some electricians will have cordless, like one of those like 12 volt cordless drills, and then they can just go around and just screw this in real quick. So you want to tighten this up, but obviously you don't want it too tight. You want to make sure that you can grab the receptacle and it won't move, and then just maybe give it just a little bit extra, just a little bit, so that you can grab that and it's not gonna go anywhere. Like obviously I'm not like putting a tremendous amount of force, and then we can just put the cover plate on. And if you're really fancy with the receptacles, what you can do is you can leave the finishing screws all the same way. So you can leave them all horizontal, or you could leave them vertical. That's if you have a really close attention to detail, you can do that. But typically what I would do is I would put them all the same way throughout an entire house. So that's how you do a standard receptacle, and now I'll show you how to do a standard switch. All right, so this is just your standard 15 amp paddle switch, so there's nothing too special about this one. On the side you have two colored screws, so these are gonna both potentially be hot. One is for the feed or for the line side, and the other is for the switch side. Typically how you'd wire it, it doesn't really even matter though, is that you put the line side on the bottom and then the switch line on the top there. We don't even need to curl these wires because these switches, as you can see, they kind of have these little compression plates here. So as you screw it down, it'll be compressed under this little plate here. Now for standard single pole switches, there is a bottom and a top to the switch, so that the bottom is off. So when it's like this, it's off. And then when you click the top like that, then that means that it's on. It actually says right up here that this is the top. You also know that the top will be up when the screws are on the right side. So all we have to do is just attach the switch line and the line side, and that's pretty much it. So again, just using a green Robbie here, tighten this down, and then the other side. So then again, so the top is at the top here, and then the colored screws are on the right side. So I know that when this is off, then it'll be in this position. When it's on, it'll be like that. If you're doing three ways, then it doesn't matter what's the top and what's the bottom, because it won't make a difference. So when you're tightening this down, you also want to try to make sure it's like straight, perpendicular, up and down. So then again, with how much you're tightening it down, you don't want to be able to move it around or anything like that. You want it to be nice and tight up against the wall there. And then we can install our cover plate here. All right, so with the first receptacle and the first switch installed, I'm gonna go around and quickly install everything else, and then I can basically power up the house and make sure that everything is working. I also have to install the fan, so I'll probably show you a little bit of fan installation as well. All right, let's check out the house, see if everything works and how it looks. All right. Ooh, the lights work. Sweet. These lights are on a dimmer, so I can just dim them right down. Boom. Next switch. Sweet. Fan works, no problem. Going into the kitchen. Kitchen lights work. Bathroom lights. And then these ones up here. And it works. Have to get a new trim and bolt for that one there. So yeah, everything seems to be working a-okay. Next day that I'm gonna be working here, I'm gonna be working on the backsplash. I'm finishing up some other odds and ends, like getting rid of this tape. And then I can install the flooring, do the kitchen cabinets, do the trim, and then it's just decorating after that. All right, I'm gonna catch you guys on the next video. Talk to you soon. Peace.